Ofgem are consulting on a new allowance for energy suppliers to recoup the cost of bad debts related to additional support credit given to prepayment meter customers. Hi, I'm Richard Winstone with Over 50s Money. Ofgem are now consulting on adding a new allowance to the price cap, which would increase our costs. As you can see here on their consultations page, they have a new statutory consultation on introducing an allowance for bad debt associated with additional support credit. This is the first video I'm doing on an Ofgem consultation, so bear with me if the format gets changed a little over the coming weeks. But my first task here was to simplify what they're doing. So I read the 54-page document, and effectively what they're looking to do is add £13 to the bills of prepayment meter customers. Now that impacts everyone, because actually prepayment customers at the moment aren't paying for the entirety of their bills. The government put in place a rule where the energy price guarantee will allow prepayment customers to be charged the same as standard direct debit customers. It's taking away that prepayment meter premium, which I agree with. So anything over what a standard credit customer would pay is then covered by the government under the energy price guarantee until April 2024. At which point, Ofgem would have gone through a process of levelisation, is the term they're using, to make prepayment meter customers and standard direct debit customers the same prices. I think that's great for prepayment meter customers. I don't think they should be charged a premium for the way in which they pay their bill. But that does mean this extra £13 per prepayment customer would at first be paid by the government. So it's meant to be put in place in October 2023. So for the first 6 months, the government will cover that. And that means it's being paid for by us through our taxes. And then after that, it'll be split across all customers. So in broad terms, what this document is saying is that Ofgem want to charge energy customers more, prepayment meter customers more, because some of them are struggling to pay their bills. They get into debt, they can't pay that debt back, so it becomes bad debt. Energy suppliers write off, and energy suppliers have lost that money. Now, across this energy crisis, that bad debt associated with additional support credit was originally negligible, so Ofgem did nothing with it, and now it's a couple of £1 million per year, and so Ofgem want to give energy suppliers that money back. In this document, Ofgem often acknowledge the financial pressures that customers are under, not just in the energy industry, but in broader terms across the UK economy, where we're in a financial crisis at the moment. And they've used that as justification to explain why they think there'll be even more bad debt next year. And therefore, this allowance should be given to energy suppliers so they can recover all of that bad debt. So that's the basics of this consultation document. It's 54 pages explaining that they're going to add £13 to prepayment meter customers' bills. It'll initially be covered by the government, and then it will eventually be covered by all of us, and that'll be an ongoing cost. They do say it's an initial 12-month period. All they mean by that, and they say it in the document, is that after 12 months, they'll review whether they were significantly wrong on how much this is going to cost energy suppliers, and they'll make adjustments if necessary. But it will be an ongoing cost year on year to us. I have many problems with this. There's a lot of questions that are unanswered, and my response, which is linked in the description below, asks Ofgem these questions. So the first things I don't know is, when can an energy supplier say that a debt is a bad debt? Do they do it immediately? Do they have to wait a year? Is there a process they go through to try and recoup that debt from the customer themselves? It's not made clear what process the supplier is going through before a debt is considered a bad debt. The next thing that's also not made clear is whether that bad debt is actually written off for the customer or if it's sold to a debt collection agency. Because if a debt collection agency gets it, then the customer is still paying that debt. And then we're covering the debt to the energy suppliers. So that's just twice as much money going towards this debt than it should be. They're artificially increasing our bills. If I'm paying for someone else's debt, I want to know that it's been wiped off from them at least. I don't want them to still be financially struggling, their bills still to be mounting because their tariff wouldn't have changed, and us to be covering that debt for the energy supplier's benefit. That's not of interest to me. There's various other things that Ofgem put in this document that confuse me logically, and if you read my response, you'll understand what I mean. But they mention quite a few times the financial crisis that we're all going through and how that's likely to increase bad debt. But then I don't understand. If you understand a customer is struggling financially, why are you increasing bills, which is just going to make them struggle more? It doesn't make sense to me. So I've put that question to Ofgem and I want to understand why that's their process for handling this issue. Logically, to me, if you reduce the costs, then there's less bad debt because customers will go, well, my prices have come down, I can cover more of my bills. Ofgem seem to be perpetuating the problem by adding more costs, which in my mind will add more debt, which will then need a bigger allowance to cover, which will add more costs, which will then add more debt, and so on and so on and so on. It seems like a flawed logic. And I've suggested to them that they don't add this in at all and they look at ways to reduce the price cap by reducing other allowances, which will give people the opportunity to bounce back on their debts. It will save the government money and therefore the whole economy, UK economy money, because our taxes should come down or at least not increase as substantially because we're not covering other people's debts. And the only ones that miss out, I guess, is energy suppliers. The more they're allowed to charge, the more profits they'll have. The more debt they incur, the more debt they accrue from customers, the more they have to spend on trying to get that debt back. It doesn't make sense. So reducing the cost does help customers. It helps energy suppliers because they can reduce the amount of admin costs in related to debt recovery. And overall, it will help our economy. So if you want to get involved with this particular consultation, there's a link in the description below. It'll take you to an article which has a downloadable PDF of my response to Ofgem. And I've also written it there in the article for your ease. All you've got to do is copy and paste it into a Word document or into an email and either send it as is if you like my responses. If you want to alter them or change them, feel free to. This time Ofgem haven't asked specific questions, so it's just my commentary on the document. So you're welcome to read the document. I'll put a link to the actual consultation page as well. And I'll also add the email addresses that this particular consultation needs to go to. They don't always go to the same email address, so I'll let you know where to send it if you do want to get involved. Please do get involved. Please share this video with people, and please like and subscribe to the Over 50s Money YouTube channel. I appreciate you watching.